Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dominic LaNave. And I'm Antonio LaNave. And today we'll take you around the great world of sports, not only in the U.S., but also around the world.
That's right. So prepare for some exciting stats and game breakdowns you've all been waiting for.
This is SportsFlash! To begin SportsFlash, we will switch gears to the March Madness, in which number 1 seed Louisville, who won the Eastern region for this tournament, faces number 9 seed Wichita State. That game can be seen on CBS and starts at 6:30.
The other game is Syracuse versus Michigan at 8:30 p.m. also on CBS.
Biggest surprise in this tournament has been Wichita State. The Shockers, many had the Shockers losing their first game in the tournament against Pittsburgh. Well, they're in the West. They won the West region after beating Ohio State last week, and they're on their way to. They might be on their way to their first ever national championship game. So let's look at the matchups here. You got very aggressive Louisville against Wichita State. The Shockers can certainly shock anyone that they see. And Tony, what do you think about Louisville and Wichita State in this game?
I'm not sure about this. Earlier I guessed that Louisville would win the national championship, but now I'm not sure.
And Tony says he's not sure. I gotta say, you know, Louisville is too much for the Shockers. Louisville, number 1 in the nation right now. After Gonzaga's out, they're the only number 1 seed left. We have not had many number 1 seeds win over the past couple of years. It's been lots of upsets. I gotta say Louisville advances to the national championship by at least 5 points against the Shockers. The referees are going to give this one to Louisville in the end. I mean, they made so many blown calls this whole tournament. In the end, it's going to favor Louisville. In the other game of the men's NCAA basketball tournament, Michigan and Syracuse. Michael Carter-Williams has been a really big standout for the Syracuse Orange. And Michigan, led by the AP Player of the Year, Trey Burke, are just about as good as any other college basketball team in this nation. Antonio, what do you think about Michigan and Syracuse?
Well, I gotta say that I think Syracuse is gonna win because they're I don't know what to say, but I think Syracuse is going to win in the end because they are a pretty good team, and since they've got to the Final Four, it's kind of a hard decision to choose.
It's both of these games are you should watch. I mean, they're both games to watch. You got Syracuse, Michigan, 2 4 seeds going at it, and you got Louisville and Wichita State. Now we're gonna switch gears over to women's college basketball. Antonio, the games are Louisville, who could very well, both men's and women, win it all. Louisville and California, and a big game, two #1 seeds, University of Connecticut, UConn, going at it against Notre Dame. Antonio, what do you got to say about both these games?
Okay, well, I think that the Louisville teams are pretty good, so I'm guessing that they'll win over California. And Notre Dame is pretty good in its basketball team, so I'm guessing that they'll also advance to the finals.
Another great player in the tournament has been ousted. Brittany Griner at the Baylor Bears lost against the Louisville Cardinals, and Cal thought they'd have a really tough road against Stanford, Baylor, and if they somehow got into the national championship, UConn or Notre Dame. Those three games are tough, and Cal has lots of players that can win games. Clarendon has not been great this tournament, and she's got to play better in the Final Four in Atlanta. I'm predicting the California Golden Bears to rev up their game a little. They've been very slow so far this tournament. I'm expecting them to make it to the national championship, at least by 10 against Louisville. And on the other side, it's a toss-up. UConn and Notre Dame, just about as good as you can get in terms of the Final Four matchup. In the end, Notre Dame. They got their Coach of the Year, and they're gonna make it to the national championship, and I think eventually win the national championship in 2013. Okay, now in other basketball news, the College Basketball Invitational is not something that people want to sit on their couch and watch, but Santa Clara and George Mason went at it. In the CBI, if you don't know how it works, it's a best-of-2 final series. In the first game, Santa Clara handled George Mason. George Mason beat Santa Clara in Game 2, and we end up going to Game 3. In this game, the final score, Santa Clara 80, George Mason 77. What do you got to say about this game, Antonio?
Well, it's kind of surprising because George Mason is pretty good in basketball, but it's just surprising that they did not win the title. They did not win versus Santa Clara in the third game.
Okay. In other news, today it's another event to watch. Serena Williams takes on Venus Williams in the Family Life Circle Cup. That's in the semifinal. You should watch those two sisters go at it. Other news, the other games to watch today, you got the 76ers at Heat. LeBron James coming back in that game. Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh continue to sit out with injuries. In hockey news, just a quick run through the scores. Blues 3, Blue Jackets 1, Sabres 4, Senators 2, Penguins 2, Rangers 1 in a shootout. We'll have more on those three games with our guest star spotlight. In the NBA, it's Bulls 87, Magic 86. In the final 3 minutes and 50 seconds, the Bulls didn't score and allowed the Magic to come back. Heat 89, Bobcats 79. We'll have more on that game later. Thunder 97, Pacers 75. Tristan Thompson scored 29 points with 17 rebounds. The Cavaliers handled the Boston Celtics 97-91. Now, we're going into high school basketball. In the National High School Invitational. In the National High School Invitational Finals, It's Spalding and Dr. Phillips going at it. Dr. Phillips got to this place by beating Larson-Around Academy. 65-58. Spalding got here after a 60-51 win over Dillard, Florida. In other related sports, the Washington Nationals lost their first game of the season. Antonio will tell you a little more about that game.
The Reds clobbered the Nationals 15-0 with Washington's starter Dan Heron allowing 6 runs, 9 hits, and only pitching 4 innings. That is the Nationals' first loss of the season, and it was their worst since they became the Nationals in 2005. There was a lot of homers, especially a grand slam for a Reds pinch hitter,
Xavier Paul.
There was 5 hits for the Nationals, and there was 15 runs for the Reds. Heron had only 5 strikeouts. Bailey had 6. Bailey, a Reds pitcher, pitched 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, no runs, no errors, and only 3 walks. The runs, there were a lot of RBIs, especially for good hitters for Fraser, a pretty good Reds hitter, and he got 2 homers that game.
Okay, so in other baseball news, let's reel off the 3-1 teams that are off to a great start this season. Atlanta, Washington, Cincinnati, Arizona, Colorado, San Francisco in the National League. In the American League, Baltimore, Boston, Chicago, the Rangers, the Oakland Athletics, and the Seattle Mariners also having 3-1 records.
In the Central Division in the American League, every single team has won 2 games and has lost 2.
So early in the season, very tightly contested American League Central. In other local sports teams news, the Baltimore Orioles and Chris Davis continue their pounding of the Minnesota Twins. Chris Davis getting his 4th home run in 4 games. If he hits a home run tonight, he will have history in terms of opening the season with a home run. Also in that game, Jake Arrieta pitched 5 innings, 5 runs. Not a very good outing for him, but the Orioles offense got the job done.
Meanwhile, in Seattle, former Nationals hitter Mike Morris has so far hit 4 home runs, which has led baseball so far. Will he hit one tonight or will he not?
Okay. In other news, the San Francisco Giants won, the St. Louis Cardinals nothing, Colorado Rockies 5, Padres 2, Tigers 8, Yankees 3, Braves 4, Cubs 1, Rangers 3, Angels 2, Rays 4, Indians nothing, Athletics 8, Astros 3, Mariners 8, White Sox 7, D-backs 3, Brewers 1, Red Sox 6, Blue Jays 4, and the Miami Marlins broke their 3-loss streak with a 7-5 win over the New York Mets. Mike Redmond got his first win as a manager, and the Miami Marlins got their first win of the season.
So far, in the National League East, there's a huge tight race for the lead of the division between Atlanta and Washington. What do you think about that, Dominic?
You know, both these teams, I mean, last season, they were, before 10 games were left in the season, these teams were just about as close as you could have imagined. They were both going at it. It's going to be like this whole season, so get used to it. But I do think the Nats are going to come out and win that division. We'll be back after our very short break with Lucia LaNave in our guest star spotlight. We will begin Sports Flash with some talk on the March Madness. This tournament has been filled with intriguing upsets, gruesome injuries, and blown calls. But the Final Four is on its way here, and the first game that you can see on CBS is Wichita State vs. Louisville at 6:30.
The next game is
Welcome back to Sports Flash, and right now we have our guest star spotlight. The spotlight is on 13-year-old Lucia LaNave.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Thank you, Lucia, for coming into the show. Now we're going to talk some baseball, National League, both National League and American League. Last night, the Washington Nationals had a breakdown that no one could have imagined in the first 3 games of the season, losing the final 15-0 against the Cincinnati Reds, one of the best teams in all of baseball. Lucia, what happened with the Washington Nationals last night?
I don't understand. I seriously don't understand. I was so disappointed by them because I've been expecting them to do so well because they have been rocking so far this season. This may have only been the 4th game, but they had a perfect score before then. 3-0. That was their record. It was so perfect, and I was getting so excited. Unfortunately, they got absolutely clobbered, and I would have to say that partly it was because of Heron, because, I mean, Strasburg, Gonzalez, Zimmerman, people like that, amazing pitchers. But Dan Heron, he just did not do the best he could, and I truly wish that he does better.
In that game, the Cincinnati Reds scored 6 home runs off the Washington Nationals, 4 off Heron. Zach Cozart with a 5 RBI day went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. And Joey Votto, first 3 at-bats of the game, 3 hits. That's how an MVP performs all the time. That's what he does. The final score, Reds 15, Nationals nothing. In that game, grabbing the win is Homer Bailey. His first of the season, he's 1-0. Losing the game is Nationals pitcher Dan Heron.
I'm a bit surprised that they didn't have a mercy rule because they were just being so clobbered. It was so embarrassing to them, and I feel really sorry for them.
Okay. In other National League East news, we got the second interleague series of the season. Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies. In this game, 2 bases loaded triples by the Kansas City Royals. You can only imagine what the score was final. Kansas City 13, Philadelphia 4.
Oh my
In that game, Alex Gordon and Chris Getz both got those bases loaded triples. And Eric Hosmer was 4 for 5 with 3 runs batted in. How about the Phillies?
Oh gosh, well, I just have to say yesterday was a day of epic epic proportions in terms of the amount of runs, amount of homers. It was crazy, kind of amazing. Not in a good way, of course, kind of because I'm a Nats fan, but I would have to say I'm very disappointed with the Phillies because I was really expecting them to do a lot better. Although they have not been very good this season with a 1-3 record, I really hope that they step up their game.
Another interesting game in the National League, the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals. Barry Zito threw 7 scoreless innings outpitching Jake Westbrook, and San Francisco keeps it going. 3-1 on the season, getting the job done. Their only loss was 1-0 when Clayton Kershaw, the opponent pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, hit a home run. In the Giants and Cardinals game, the only run was scored on a bases-loaded walk. How much? I mean, that was in the 6th inning when Jake Westbrook. How much adversity is on Jake Westbrook? He lost the game for the St. Louis Cardinals right there. They played a great game till that point and they blew it. Bases loaded walk.
Well, I do have to say, sorry, Jay Westbrook. I really do feel sorry for you. It's not completely your fault. It's your entire team's fault. Don't let them push that on you. I was really amazed when I was watching that game because, I mean, Barry Zito, scoreless inning after scoreless inning, 7 scoreless innings, I believe.
Yes.
He was pitching very well, and I really enjoyed watching that game, to be perfectly honest, but, you know, it could have been a little bit more, you know, interesting if there were a couple more runs, although it was very tight and it was very dramatic.
Today's game to watch is the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Los Angeles Dodgers. In that game, probably the best pitchers in their first starts, A.J. Burnett for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Clayton Kershaw for the LA Dodgers, go at it against each other. Kershaw's last start threw a 4-hit shutout. Clayton Kershaw, MVP?
Well, he definitely threw an amazing game, but I would say that I wouldn't think him MVP material. I would have to say I would think of someone like, oh gosh. Well, I would say Derek Jeter, but he can't play. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so early in the season. You can't say this guy's gonna be the MVP this year.
It's only four games into the season. Not much. Not much to say.
I do hope that Clayton does continue his very amazing game, like throughout his whole lifetime span playing baseball. He has been doing very well. So I do hope that he continues playing very well, and well, we'll see what happens.
Okay, and that was our MLB baseball run-through. Now we took a look at the NHL with our guest star spotlight, LaNave.
Hi again.
Okay, NHL, I mean, lots of interesting trades this week with the trade deadline on Monday.
Yes.
Aaron Gabrick to the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jerome Yager to the Boston Bruins, Martin Rat to the Washington Capitals. But last night's games were very low scoring, and the most interesting game was the Pittsburgh Penguins, the New York Rangers.
I have to say I did not see that game.
Yeah, well, you should have.
I bet I should have. I bet it was amazing.
The Pittsburgh Penguins 2, the New York Rangers 1 in a shootout. These Atlantic Division rivals going at it. Pittsburgh, obviously, with that win, they are tied for the best record in hockey with the Chicago Blackhawks. You know, with Sidney Crosby, UC Jokinen, another big name acquisition during the trade deadline. He scored a goal in regulation, then he scored the game winner in the shootout for the Pittsburgh Penguins. What do you have to say about the Penguins-Rangers game from what you've heard?
From what I've heard, well, I do not doubt you that the Penguins played amazingly. I'm sure they did. They're an amazing team, even though I absolutely downright hate them. I mean, I'm a Caps fan. Let's not get into that right now. But with Sidney Crosby out for the rest of the season, it's going to be very, very challenging. But I do hope that Pittsburgh can keep up with their lead because they're doing so incredibly well. And it'll be really exciting if they keep on with their lead and hopefully do some good work in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Marc-Andre Fleury stopping 34 shots and getting the win for Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Other Eastern Conference news, the Buffalo Sabres a 4-2 win against the Ottawa Senators. You know, the Sabres currently sit at 36 points. They are currently 4 out of the playoff spot. You know, do the Sabres have any real shot? Well, they kept their hopes up with a 4-2 win against the 6th-ranked Ottawa Senators.
Well, they're 4 spots, only 4 spots from getting that top spot, well, getting into the playoffs for the Eastern Conference. I mean, I really do hope they can pull it off. But, I mean, it's really late in the season. There's like 12 or 11 games left, right?
Yep.
There's 12 or 11, 10 games left until the whole shebang ends.
Okay, Lucia, thank you for dropping by, and that is our guest star spotlight. Next up will be Antonio LaNave. He'll have his portion of the show. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you so much again.
Okay, Lucia, thank you for dropping by, and that is our guest star spotlight. Next up will be Antonio LaNave. He'll have his portion of the show. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you so much again.
We will end our edition of SportsFlash with a rundown of the games and events you should be watching today. In the Final Four, as we said before, Wichita State and Louisville at 6:30, and Syracuse at Michigan. That game can be seen at 8:30. Both of those games are on Channel 9 and on ESPN 980 AM.
In the MLB, Washington at Cincinnati can be seen on Masson, and it can also be listened on the radio on 106.7 and 1500 AM. Another game is the Yankees versus Tigers. That can be seen on Fox, and it can be seen on Fox at 4 p.m. Another game is Minnesota versus Baltimore. That can be seen
at 7:30. And then also on the NHL Network, the Calgary Flames battle on the Vancouver Canucks. That one is a Western Conference game. It can be seen at 10 p.m. right after Boston and Montreal. So if you want a hockey-filled day, go to NHL Network.
In the NBA, Indiana versus Washington, it can be seen on CSN Plus, and it can also be listened to on 1500 AM at 7 o'clock. Philadelphia versus Miami on ESPN at 7:30 p.m.
In auto racing, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Kroger 250 can be seen on the channel Speed. On Cox, that would be channel 54. And that is at 1:30 p.m. in terms of auto racing. Soccer. No. Also auto racing, IndyCar, Grand Prix of Alabama qualifying can be seen on NBC Sports Network, that one at 5 p.m.
In soccer, in the English Premier League, Southampton at Reading at ESPN on ESPN2 at 7:30 at 10 a.m. English also in the English Premier League, Arsenal at West Brom it can be seen on Fox Soccer Channel. In the MLS, Real Salt Lake City at Colorado, it can be seen on NBC Sports Network at 7:30 p.m.
In golf, the PGA Tour Texas Open third round. Golf Channel will have all of that third round for the PGA Tour, and then coming in a little later at 3 o'clock, Texas Open third round can be seen nationally televised on NBC, and in the ladies PGA Tour, Kraft Nabisco Championship third round big tournament in women's golf can be seen on Golf Channel right after the PGA Tour Texas Open. So if you want golf, just get Golf Channel. The LPGA Tour game can be seen at 5 p.m.
In college baseball, at noon, Liberty at Coastal Carolina, it can be seen on ESPNU at noon. At 1 p.m., Virginia Tech at North Carolina. At 6 p.m., Philadelphia and Rochester. You can see that at CBS Sports Network.
Women's college basketball, the Women's NIT Championship game. Utah takes on Drexel. That game also on CBS Sports Network at 3 p.m.
In college lacrosse, at 11 a.m., Colgate at Lay can be seen on CBS Sports Network. At 5 p.m., Syracuse at Princeton on ESPNU.
College basketball, Missouri takes on Alabama. ESPNU can be seen at 3 o'clock.
National High School basketball Invitational at 11 a.m. Girls finals Spalding versus Dr. Phillips, Florida. It can be seen on ESPN2. At 1 p.m. Boys final St. Benedict's Prep, New Jersey versus Montverde, Florida. It can be seen on ESPN.
And another game to watch is the Washington Nationals and the Cincinnati Reds. That can be seen nationally on CBS, also on Mass and HD. That start times at 1:10. Thank you for listening to this for the first ever edition of Sports Flash. See you next time. You're off. Hello, ladies and germs. I'm Dominic, LaNave.
And I'm Antonio.
And we will take you.
I memorized my part now.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Sports Flash.